You a little concerned about buyer fees when it comes to this new NAR lawsuit? Let's talk about it. Well, it hasn't been all that long, but I've already heard reports of other agents telling stories of sellers sitting down at a listing agreement asking if they really need to offer a buyer's commission in light of these new lawsuits that are going on. Well, what are you going to tell them? How are you going to respond to this? Are you prepared for it? Have you role-played it? Have you even thought it through in your mind? I haven't come across this objection yet, but I don't like getting surprised by clients, so I'm definitely thinking through it myself. And there's lots of ways we can respond, coach, counsel, and direct sellers who are spending too much time in the news, frankly, and are thinking about this specific subject. One of the first things that is a great way to help them see the whole concept from maybe a different perspective is to discuss return on investment. And so the idea is to get into a conversation in light of this question being raised by a potential seller about the things that you do to fix up your home for sale. And you can explain, like, just like the fresh flowers in the planting beds or the new paint you're going to put on the walls inside, we have to judge how much money we want to put into this home based on how much we think we're going to get out of it, and are the things we are doing going to pay off and give us equal or more money in return in the form of a sales price, right? So the same concept can definitely be applied to offering a buyer's agent that real estate commission. Why is it the same? Well, in this scenario, we are comparing the money put into upgrades on the home with the money put into a buyer's agent commission. We talk to sellers about prepping their homes all the time, and a lot of times we explain that it's not just about prep, it's about everything, right? We've got to price it right. We've got to prepare the home to look beautifully. We've got to have great photos, video, and marketing and exposure. And all of these things come together to get us the best sales price possible. So if we do all that, and then there's some fine print in a listing that says, Mr. Buyer, I'm glad you love our home. When you buy this home, there's a premium you have to pay above and beyond that price of that home and the closing costs that we already assume are baked in. There's this premium, and the premium comes in the form of you paying your own realtor because we've decided not to. Now, we don't have to get too far into the conversation if they have already come around to our side and are actually trying to take the buyer's perspective and not their own, which is sitting in the seller's shoes at the kitchen table with you. They're going to understand, okay, that's already going to detract from the desirability of my beautifully fixed up and priced home. To compound on that thought, we can introduce the concept of new construction, and we can share with them what builders do. Obviously, in super hot markets, builders are really trying not to work with buyer's agents at all, period. They will offer a cooperative fee. It's usually lower than normal, but in a hot market, they feel confident that their own marketing is going to be good enough to get buyers in that don't have buyer's representation, and those buyers can work directly with their local sales office, and they save a huge chunk of change when it comes time to sell that home. Now, on the contrary, when the market is slow and builders still have some inventory, they actually start increasing that buyer fee that is being offered to numbers that you never see in a traditional listing. We see 4, 5, sometimes 6% being offered just to the buyer's agent to bring a buyer to a development that is looking to close out their inventory and wrap it up and be done selling the property. If we share with them what builders are doing, then we have to explain to them, you could be doing the opposite of what these professionals whose entire career is about selling homes are doing. So why would we want to do the opposite of what these professionals do? We want to do the same thing and put ourselves in alignment with a new home builder. We want to make our home look as nice as possible, even though it's not new, to look new, and we want to price it right, but we also want to use the incentives that they're using to collect their buyers. We have to make it clear that if there is no cooperative commission offered, these buyers are going to have to pay their own realtor, and, it's a turnoff. In the best case scenario, they are not deterred. They love the home. They see the buyer premium, they don't love it, but they're willing to pay it, but it's going to impact how much they're willing to pay for your home. Because ultimately, the buyer is going to be looking at their net paid, and it's the same thing that the seller is looking at. They're looking at their net earnings as well. So both people are looking at the bottom line, and frankly, buyers are going to pull that bottom line offer price down if they are having to accommodate for a substantial fee that they didn't anticipate because they aren't accustomed to it. And that's the thing that we should pause and talk about as well. If we were in some other part of the world where it's very normal for sellers to pay their fee to their realtor and buyers to pay their realtor their own fee, then this would not be a big deal. But there's a psychological play taking place here on top of it all. Buyers in this country are not accustomed to having to pay anything more than the price of the home and some closing costs to their lender, right? A premium like this is definitely going to turn people away. And some people just don't even like the concept. They won't find it. Some agents potentially won't show the property to their buyers because they don't want to have that conversation. There's lots of ways you might not even get to the point of receiving an offer that's a little bit lower than anticipated, just because it's such a turnoff, right? But for those that are not deterred, they will still probably have it affect their bottom line. Now, there's another thing we can bring up to people considering this as a good way to save some cash when they're sitting down with their listing agent and figuring out how to market the property. We have to bring this subject up, of course, only if they've brought it up first, but when we're looking through comps. Right? So when we're looking at comparable sales, I always like to explain to sellers the core tenements of what makes a good comp. We explain we're not licensed appraisers, but we work with them every day. We know how they're shopping for homes to compare to this home. And we explain geography, square footage of the lot, square footage of the home, bed, bath count, finishes. We explain the whole situation. But one thing I don't typically bring up when talking about comparable home sales is the cooperative broker fee offered by this home that sold 60 days ago. Well, if this is a subject that the seller is bringing up now, we need to go ahead and bring that line item up on every comp that we're looking at as well, because it is a material fact. It will change the value of the home as to whether or not there is a cooperative commission being offered by the seller to be paid to the buyer. And we have to use this as a new tool of ours if this objection is being brought up. We can actually bring up all the comps and say, look here, this person offered 3%, this person offered 2.75%, this person offered 2%, this person offered 2.5%. They all are paying the buyer's agents out of the sales proceeds from their own home. And that's how these numbers came together. If these comparable sales did not have commission being offered to buyers agents, the top line numbers would be changing. And so if you can find one that has a scenario like this where it says, hey, no buyer's commission being offered, buyer to pay their own fee, then obviously you would want to pull that up and show the difference in how it worked. But my guess is you're not going to run across a lot of data points like that because most people are not thinking this is something normal to do yet. It would be an outlier if you ask me. And so because it's an outlier, you can explain to them that we cannot compare the top line sales price of these homes that offer buyer's commissions if they intend on not offering. It's really just bringing up the concept of comparing apples to apples when we look at these homes, and that we have a good handle on what their intentions are before we give them our advice based on maybe some assumptions that might be baked into the comps. You know, all in all, this whole lawsuit and conversation is only as big a deal as us realtors. Like I said before, nothing has been settled yet. There are no decisions that have been handed down by a judge or a jury, and there are definitely going to be appeals that last into the years ahead of us. So nothing is going to change now anyways, right? And as of now, nothing has changed because no decisions have been made. But even if things go in that direction and they do end up changing from the way we do business today, it won't really change the seller's options that much compared to where they stand right now. Because honestly, the seller has a right now to offer $1 to a buyer's cooperative commission. So what are we going to do? We're going to change that from $1 to $0? Either way, it's nothing, right? So it's currently in the seller's best interest to take care of course, their agent, but also the buyer's agent. It's going to continue to be in the seller's best interest to take care of their agent and the buyer's agent, regardless of whether the new law says that you can now offer someone $0 instead of as little as $1. All in all, we're trying to put people together when we sell these homes, and having a professional who's got buyers they're working with is a much better way of putting people together than trying to find them on their own, or trying to find those buyers who don't mind significant extra fees on top of their purchase price. We're going to wrap it right there. Feel free to reach out with any questions, comments, or if you'd like to chat, I'm happy to do so. Hit the DMs or comments below. Talk to you soon.